Okay, so we were talking about you were how you're a waitress right now, and that's where you are in terms of the environment. You think there are many things that each person can do, not just for the world, but also for oneself. And I think that is true. When I think that in a way, spiritually speaking, we are all connected. And
Hmm.
if I allow myself to be sad, then that's going to affect the overall tally of the world. Like we all have an individual energy level and then a global energy level that we're all connected in a way. And also, it's like a domino effect. If I'm sad, a person sees me sad, that person automatically becomes sad, and then the next person and the next person until it comes back full circle, right?
And the alternative to that is if I smile to somebody on the street, they're going to smile back, and maybe they weren't smiling before. That's the way
Exactly.
I like to look at
And
things.
now they're in a positive state of mind. So later, if
Mhm.
they hear, like a plant-based burger, they're in a positive state of mind. They're more likely to think clearly
Open-minded.
and
Yeah.
open-minded. So
Boy, and I'll tell you, those plant-based burgers are incredible these days. Beyond Burger is, if you haven't had it,
no, I've had it. I'm
everyone
also
listening,
plant-based.
you've got to go out there and get one soon because it is really good.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, you're talking to the. I thought you were talking to me for a second. I forget that you're also talking to the viewer.
If I
Yes.
can spread the love, plant-based eating, it's delicious. This morning I had just egg and Daya vegan cheese. So just egg is actually made from mung beans, and it is incredible. I had a bagel sandwich with egg. I call it feg, fake egg. Egg and fake cheese, but tomato and avocado as well. So balance, right? It's all about balance. But it was delicious. Sometimes I just wake up and I want something that's not traditionally healthy for breakfast because other mornings I have a smoothie, but then sometimes I'll make myself French toast, and you can do it all plant based, and it's really fun, and it keeps you creative. To me, it's like a great challenge. I love making classic comfort foods vegan. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Have you felt that your strength, like your vulnerability physically, has increased since you let go of meat and cheese? Because talking from my experience, what happened was I was lifting weights. I lifted weights all my life basically, and when I became vegan, suddenly I hurt my shoulder, and that was like a almost a permanent thing. To this day, there's still some issues with it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I felt working out that when I was vegan, I was more prone to injury than when I
Huh.
started taking whey protein and eating cheese and eggs, cage
Did
free
you, when
eggs.
you tried your plant based lifestyle, did you supplement with other protein powders?
Yeah,
Hmm.
I took raw protein. I took pea, rice, protein. Basically, all the proteins that are out there that are vegan. I had them all.
Yeah, so I actually don't supplement my diet whatsoever. I find that I have no need for additional protein. I eat legumes daily, and that's more than adequate the protein amount that I need. And I actually hiked 1,073 miles of the PCT this last summer
Yeah, can
as
you
a
talk about
vegan.
that? Like,
Sorry?
can you talk about that? You,
Yeah, 100%. So I don't think I would have done that before. Obviously, it was my boyfriend who convinced me, but we also went vegan together, and the plant-based lifestyle was 5 years in transition. The first time I tried out being vegan was a 30-day stint because I wanted to lose weight for prom in high school, and then through college I became more and more aware of the effects of
did it work?
uh, animal agriculture in the diet. I don't remember. It was high school, senior year. And it was only 30 days. But I slowly transitioned where I was cooking more vegetables and plant-based meals at home, but then I'd go out and I'd still order a burger. And eventually, I moved back to San Diego and was living in a place where there were so many options out there, I had no excuse. But yeah, I haven't experienced any issues. I actually have a lot more energy from my food. I noticed that after a meal, instead of wanting to take a nap, I usually, I actually feel my food energizing me. So that's one of the huge benefits. But anyways, yeah, back to the PCT. Last year, May 6th, 2019, Bill and I embarked on this massive journey to walk across the country. I didn't really realize what I was getting myself into. We prepped for months. My boyfriend and I met actually working for Greenpeace, going door to door. So that's another story. But he convinced me to quit my job and let's, sell everything and put the rest of our stuff in storage and hike. And I was ready to leave San Diego. I didn't have any attachment to staying there. So I said, you know what, why not? I love camping. I love the planet. And this can be a great opportunity for me to form an even closer relationship to nature. And one of the things I really believe in is living closer to the land, more connected to nature, living more simpler. Like, you don't have to have all these things or buy all these things to be happy. And that truly is what I learned through that experience. It was tough. It wasn't easy. It was so challenging, but it became the blissful moments, just waking up with the sun and going to bed with the sun. And that meal, that dehydrated meal that you waited all day for, and you just add hot water and wait 30 minutes, and suddenly you have like pad thai, because Backpacker's Pantry is incredible little plug there, or whatever it is. We prepped our own meals. We dehydrated quinoa and vegetables, and actually brought our own vacuum sealed backpacking meals.
Did you die?
Sorry?
That's a supposedly funny question. But like, seriously, you go on a 1,000-mile hike into nature. What you expect is going to be different from what you get. Now,
yeah, well,
did you ever suffer extreme cold? Were you ever scared for your life? Was danger prominent, or were you staying basically?
No, yeah, all of those feelings and emotions washed over me at one point or another throughout the hike. And I will say the whole hike, the Pacific Crest Trail, is 2,650 miles. So wow. I didn't even do half.
I'm out.
So the first, I didn't train either, and that was a huge mistake. So I would say for anyone who's ambitious to embark on a journey like that, on a through hike, train a lot, wear your backpack, and hike every day before you go. You think, oh, I'm going to get enough hiking there, I don't need to. Or just take it slow, because my knee, my IT band ended up causing me so much pain after the first few days. The first day we hiked 15 miles. The second day we hiked 17 miles. The third day, I was in such bad pain I could hardly walk. Somehow we made it another 10 miles to Mount Laguna from the Campo, the border, the Mexican border in San Diego, in 3 days. And that was incredible in itself. But my body was hurting. So I ended up going home for 2 weeks to rest. Bill continued walking for about a week, but then we got a freak storm in Southern California in May, and snow was hitting San Jacinto, which is the highest peak in Southern California. And so I went and picked up Bill to get him out of that. And we took the second week off together before we went back. But I went back and took it slow, one day at a time. He was really great at not pushing it, because Phil is an incredible athlete. He doesn't need to train. He can just walk and walk and walk. I think for that second week where I wasn't on the hike with him, he walked 27 miles in one day. And he didn't train either, mind you. So, but he was great about, bearing with me when I was in pain, because I was still in a lot of pain. I used CBD treatment, ibuprofen. We would soak in rivers every opportunity we'd get. So those first few days back after my initial injury was only like 9 to 10 miles. How much of it was it
fun, and how much of it was pain?
So one of the things that we learned throughout the hike is there's different types of fun. I don't know if you've heard of this before, but there's type 1 fun, which is just something that you would think like riding a roller coaster, just straight up fun, watching a movie maybe for some people. Everyone's different, right? And then there's type 2 fun, which is something that is not fun while you're doing it, but you look back and you think, gee, that was incredible.
Like eating feg.
Oh, hey, you have no idea. You haven't tried it. Egg.
I know. I was vegan too.
Feg is type 1 fun for me. But only just egg. They're not all good, so you have to go through a lot of trial and error before. But the PCT is very much type 2 fun. Yeah, it's painful and it's a struggle and a challenge, but that's what makes life beautiful. That's what makes us grow. That's how we become better people and build character and get stronger, So
Did
all
you
of those
document
days.
any of it? Did you take a lot of pictures? Did you keep a journal? Would you do it again?
I was too tired to
other
journal.
People along the journey.
Yeah. I was too tired to journal, and carrying a journal is not practical because the weight on your back is everything. So I didn't do that, but I did take pictures with my cell phone quite a bit, which I have a lot of those, and they're all on Facebook and Instagram. At Becca OK is my Instagram handle if anybody's interested in seeing those.
Yes. What's the tag or the handle?
At Becca OK. BECCAOKAY.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's a really cool community out there. So actually that became one of the best takeaways as well, was humanity's not faded. So not only do you make friends along the trail because you're not as alone as you would think out there. It's a very, very popular thing to do. And so you're constantly meeting fellow hikers daily. So you end up forming what we call a tramily, which is a trail family, right? So especially for those people who go and start alone. Luckily, I started with Bill, so we kind of did our own thing a lot, but we met amazing people who will be friends for the rest of our lives, and you hike with them, and you stay with them whether you want to keep going or not, because it's worth having that connection. So in addition to having an amazing tramily, there's also trail angels, and trail magic is such a beautiful part of it. So there are just these good people who have connections to the trail, who go out and they help hikers. They go to common road crossings and they give hikers a ride into town, or they even host them. They say, hey, I have an extra bedroom, you can stay with me tonight. Because they know that these were people unemployed, right? We're not working, so we saved up money for months or years often to plan for this awesome journey. So there are people who, out of the good of their hearts, leave out food and sodas and beers and coolers. And that, walking up, like I'm getting chills right now just thinking of it, walking 20 miles and getting to a street where you're like, okay, now I have to hitchhike into town that's 20 miles away, and I don't know what cars are going to drive by, but there's a cooler there with candy and a beer or soda, even a soda. Like I never drink soda, but I'll tell you, a soda tastes damn good after hiking 20 miles in the desert heat. So just those sweet moments make you realize, even though it's hard to see the way our society is going these days, humanity is not ill-fated, and there are a lot of good people out there.
You know how I just pictured you when you said that about the soda and beer that they had there for you? Was I saw the koalas during the fires in Australia, how people rescued them and would just give them water, and they'd be, sucking every drop out of that bottle. I pictured you guys out there like that. Like sweet, like animals almost. You're so vulnerable there. You're tired.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't totally helpless like that because it was all by our own choice. I think the difference there is
you could have ordered an Uber, perhaps, for example. If you had
usually there wasn't cell service, or we were in the trail locations are very remote. So the towns that we would pass through, most of them didn't have Uber. Sometimes we were in bigger towns and they did, but hitchhiking was the way to go also because we didn't have an income, and we had only so much money. And so that was one thing that we decided when we started, was we needed to end when we each had $1,000. And we were both down to $1,000 because we needed at minimum $1,000 each to be able to put down a new deposit and find a place to live after all of it, and fly home or whatever it was.
At one
to start
point,
our new
I
lives.
think I donated like $10 or $20 to your efforts.
Thank you.
When you were
Yeah,
like,
that was
guys,
huge.
this will buy me like a dehydrated apple or
Meal.
something.
Yeah,
And I was
you
like,
bought me one of those meals that I cherished so much. So thank you, Iswan. That's that meal out there, I'll tell you how much more gratitude it feels to have that versus going to a restaurant in town when you can do that anytime. Obviously, right now, people are feeling a lot of gratitude for being able to go out to restaurants as well, if you can. But you really earn it out there, and your body needs it. Oh my goodness, the hunger. It's called hiker hunger. It's incomparable to anything else. I know there are people who don't get to eat adequate, nutrition all the time, and I'm sure that's what it feels like for them as well. But when you're working your body that hard and that aggressively on a daily basis, like our hiker hunger lasted months after we got off the trail. It took that long to just catch up on weight that was lost.
you're probably super strong though, ready to live like 100 years now. So Becca, you by the age of you're 26, right? You're my age.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by the age of 26, you've done something that most people would not have the bravery to do, or they would love to do, but think they would die in the process. Just don't end up doing it, or wait until they're really old, and by that time, their bodies can't handle it. You've
Mm-hmm.
accomplished something big in life already at age 26. And what what is the next big thing on your mind? Is it something physical like climbing Mount Everest, or is it something about influence, about education, about is it financial? What is that next big thing on your mind?
Yeah. So for me, I think it's really important just to like sit back and reflect after something like that. It is kind of a culture shock going from trail life back to regular life. And so these last few months, it's been about 9 months since the PCT, since we stopped. We got off Labor Day weekend. Um, I've just been, appreciating having a kitchen to cook in, and um, socializing in the way we do, and back to like enjoying life as we've built it here. So I haven't planned too much, but I definitely want to finish the hike. That's one of my big goals, is finish it via section hikes, because we've still got another 1,500 miles. I do. Bill was able to do 1,300 miles, while I did 1,000, almost 100. So finish the hike. We have to do all of Washington, half of Oregon, and bits and pieces of California. So now that we're living in Central Oregon, a lot more of the places that we had to skip over are more accessible. So I want to do it as section hikes, so that I can take my time more and enjoy it, because Oregon is full of beautiful lakes, natural lakes. Oh my goodness. And when you're trying to get to across the country, you don't have time to stop and swim in those lakes. And so that's something that I really learned to appreciate, is maybe I want to continue this journey, but I want to do it in a different way. And I think Bill and I both really decided that. And if we go just for a long weekend backpacking, say we can do 50 miles in 3 days. That was one of the sections we were hoping to do soon. Maybe we can bring a bag of wine, and we can, lay out by the lake on our way, and take an extra day just to hang out, and cook maybe a nicer meal, and not have to live so simply, so sparingly.
So it
right?
sounds like your main goal right now is to enjoy life.
Yeah. I mean, I think like this age, I struggle a lot with, because one of the reasons why I was able to do the PCT was, even though I had the potential to progress in my career with Greenpeace, I wasn't in a place where I was really held down by a career, and it's something that that I go back and forth on a lot because I feel like disappointed in myself that I'm not on a traditional career path, that I'm not working some 9 to 5 in an office at an environmental nonprofit. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was saying, what is traditional now? Because, and especially now, like, after coronavirus,
COVID era,
a lot of the businesses that existed before are not going to exist anymore. Life is going to be different afterwards.
Yeah.
Many of the careers people prepared, many of the careers that exist right now are not going to exist in the next 10 years, Like, what is
especially with AI and robots coming to take all of those service jobs, so that affects mostly lower income.
So yeah, you were saying you feel a little bit of remorse about
there's just that pressure, I think, to be productive and to be successful, and so I struggle with understanding where that comes from and knowing, okay, is this real, or is it something that's been kind of imposed on me my whole life because of the way that we are here in the U.S. And in Western culture. So I'm volunteering, which is good because that way I can still fulfill that passion. I know whatever I'm doing, I want to be doing something good for the planet. So that was something great that came out of the time off, was I finally found a good organization locally that I could volunteer with. So 350 Deschutes, I'm sure you know 350.org, right?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, so actually, you were talking about the presentation I did back in college. Fossil Free UC was an offset of 350. Okay. So 350 is an awesome organization. They're a climate change activism organization, and their whole goal is to get the atmospheric carbon back to 350 parts per million, which,
right now we're at 410.
As you know, we passed 400 several years ago. Which is exceedingly dangerous, and we're not really slowing down. I just saw the other day that Bhutan is the only country in the world that's carbon negative, and they're also the happiest place on earth, according to a book I read back a long time ago.
I thought Mexico was so. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all subjective, but we've got a lot of work to do. So 350 is a climate change organization, and locally I'm working on their clean energy task force, as well as I'm a part of the planning committee for the Clean Energy Conference, which is going to be this fall. It's going to be virtual, so you can participate in it from anywhere, but it's going to be focused on Central Oregon issues. So I'm working on putting together a panel on transportation there, so local cutting edge sustainable transportation, and how do we get more people to ride bikes or take public transit or walk instead of riding in their car by themselves. So that's good.
Great. That sounds great. If anyone is interested in getting their feet a little wet when it comes to being a little more involved in the environment, can you say the name of the
Yeah, so 350.org is the organization, and they have chapters all over the world. So when I was in San Diego, I did some volunteer work, some social media stuff for 350 San Diego. When I was going to school in Santa Cruz, I worked with Fossil Free UCSC, which was a successful organization to get universities to divest, meaning pull out all of their investment funds from the fossil fuel sector. So that actually was successful. They've committed to fully divesting from all fossil fuels. Wow. And out of a $90 billion endowment, which $3 billion of it were invested in fossil fuels, that can have a huge impact. So that was incredible to be a part of that.
$90 billion